My name is Vanessa Mitchell, and I never thought I'd be in a place where I had to question everything I thought I knew about being loyal, control yourself, and love. I was a great wife and mother for more than 20 years, devoted to my family and the peaceful, stable life we had built in the Portland suburbs. But cracks appear in even the strongest foundations at the worst times, and temptation doesn't knock politely. It kicks the door wide open. David, my husband, is a successful business consultant. We met in college, fell in love, got married, and raised two wonderful kids, Emma, 17 years old, and Jacob, 14 years old. Life with David was stable and predictable. He was always responsible and practical, but that meant he was often away on business trips, work calls, and overseas contracts that lasted weeks. I appreciated his hard work and drive, but I have to be honest and say that over time, I started to feel more like a fixture in his routine than his partner. The last place David went was to Germany. 3 weeks. For 3 weeks, I ate dinner by myself in an empty house and woke up to the sound of the kitchen clock clicking. The kids were at summer camp, having a great time, so I had some free time. I didn't think this trip would be any different from the others David had taken, but it turned out to be the one that changed everything. It all began with a message, a harmless ping from Facebook Messenger that showed up while I was half watching a TV show I had already seen. The name came to mind like a lost spark. Ryan Carter Ryan was my best friend in college. We were more than just friends. We shared laughs, secrets, inside jokes, and a memorable senior year night that neither of us ever talked about again. We lost touch after college. Then I met David. He moved to New York. Life went on. I hadn't seen or heard from him in almost 20 years. His message was easy to understand. "Hey, Vanessa, I was thinking about you just now. Are you still in Portland?" My heart raced. Not in a romantic way, at least not right away, but in that nostalgic, heart-pounding way that you get when you hear a name you haven't thought of in a long time. I answered after a few minutes. "Hey, Ryan, wow. It's been a long time. I'm still here." He was in town for a short project at work, but he had a few days off and thought it would be nice to meet up. I didn't see any harm in it. Old friends meet for coffee all the time, right? We went to a quiet cafe near downtown. I wore a simple blue blouse and jeans, but I let my hair grow out a bit longer than usual. I don't know why I told myself that was just to look nice, but I think I knew I was stepping into something more complicated than I wanted to admit. It seemed like time had turned inside out when I saw him. He looked older, and his jaw was stronger. Even though he had a few lines around his eyes, he still smiled with the same calm confidence. "Vanessa Mitchell," he said as he hugged me. "Still very pretty." We talked about our kids and laughed about college for more than an hour. It was in the middle of everything that I fell in love with him, not just because he was handsome, but also because he made me feel seen, heard, and important. After coffee, he walked me to my car, and for a moment we stood there in a strange silence. It wasn't awkward, it was charged. I looked into his eyes and felt something stir. I quickly said goodbye and drove home, trying to get rid of the feeling that stayed with me but wouldn't go away. His thoughts were still on that coffee when he texted the next day. I paused. I should have said no. I should have thought about my husband, my marriage, and my life. But I didn't. I just said, "Lunch sounds good." The next Saturday, he came over. The kids were still at camp, and David was on a different continent. I told myself I was being a good host because I was just meeting up with an old friend. I made grilled chicken salad, and we sat on the patio in the July sun. The conversation went smoothly. There was wine, laughing, and memories that made us both feel nostalgic and a little emotional. I looked at his hands and then at his lips for a moment before quickly turning my attention away. He saw this and said, "Of course he did." He said in a soft voice, "You used to do that all the time. Act like you don't know what I asked you to do." I smiled shamefully when you tried not to look at me that way. "That happened a long time ago," he said in a low voice. "Some things don't change." The time between us was very short. In my head, I could feel the tension and the red flags that reminded me of my wedding vows. But I didn't want to fight it longer. I stood up and started gathering the plates to break the moment. But when I turned around, he was right there. He touched my arm in a careful, strong, but kind way. "Vanessa, I don't want to bother you, but I've been thinking about you a lot. It feels good to be here." It hurt my heart to look at him. It begged me to stop, back up, and run, but I didn't. Instead, I leaned in. What happened next wasn't what I had planned. It didn't make sense. It was messy, upsetting, and too much to handle. It was the kind of moment that changes everything because of what it shows you, not the act itself. That deep, secret part of you that you've worked so hard to hide. That wish to feel wanted, alive, and well. After that, I shook my hand and sat on the edge of my bed. Ryan sat next to me in quiet. His presence was both comforting and scary. "I should go," he said softly. I couldn't say anything but nodded. "I'm sorry, Vanessa. I didn't mean to make your life more difficult, but it was already more difficult than he knew. I couldn't eat or sleep for a few days afterward. I was waiting for the guilt to hit me hard, but it came in waves that were even worse. The worst part was that I didn't feel bad about what I did. David got back from his trip and knew right away that something wasn't right. I avoided eye contact and answered quickly. He thought I was just tired or stressed from running the house by myself. He brought me perfume from Paris, kissed my face, and told me he missed me. I smiled and thanked him, but I was fighting with myself inside. I never saw Ryan again. After a few texts, I told him it had to stop, and he agreed. He then left town without saying a word. Weeks went by. After a few months, things slowly went back to normal, but I never quite felt the same. I threw myself back into family life and tried to be the perfect wife, mother, and friend. But sometimes, when the house was quiet, I would sit on the patio and think about that afternoon, the warmth of the sun, the laughter, and the kiss that changed everything. I never told David. I carry that secret alone. I don't know if that makes me a coward or just human, but I do know that desire is a strong force. It doesn't ask for permission or care about what will happen, and sometimes it gets through, no matter how strong you think you are. That day, I did something wrong. Even though it wasn't fair, it was real. It told me that behind every perfect life is someone still looking for something. I'm still trying to figure out what that something is.